Hello, everybody. Welcome to the
Hey,
REI
hey,
Concierge YouTube live stream. We're live.
we
We're
are
professionals.
alive. I
We're very
love
good at
it.
this. We always know exactly what to say when I see the live button up in the corner. Uh, Welcome.
We're getting
We're
there,
getting there.
Tim.
We're getting there.
Progress. Hashtag
Hashtag
progress, not
progress, not
perfection.
not perfection.
Perfection is a
We can do this
myth.
now because we're on video. I can do, along with my
Do all
nonsensical
your
segues,
gestures.
I can do gestures now and speak with my hands. It's worse for everybody. Um, No, but what are we going to talk about today, Lisa? We're going to go back to kind of the foundational principles of why you and I got started in real estate investment and what we
Huh.
coach our clients to consider in terms of how they go about it. Because I think a big part of what we do in real estate investing and coach our clients to do is not necessarily to do. We let them know there are a million ways to successfully invest in real estate. And
Yes.
that means 999,999 probably aren't right for you. So you got to find that one or that few. I mean, you don't have to stick to one. Like you and I both do different stuff, but like
Yep.
everyone has a very strong opinion about the right way to do it, the wrong way to do it, which you should always do, which you should never do. And I think you and I are very much not of the absolute sort. It's like, well, yeah, you can do that and or you can do this or like there's all kinds of ways to do it. And I think finding how you're going to do something really depends on the why you set out to begin in real estate in the first place. So,
Agreed.
why, then how, and then in the middle there, you kind of assess your risk tolerance. See, huh? Look, it's a whole
I
nother
like it.
dimension.
I like it.
Um, Assess your risk tolerance, and that kind of also helps you dictate the how of what you're going to do. So, I just went forwards, backwards, and in the middle. So, can you straighten that out for me a little bit?
That's how we do it, Tim. My brain does not work linearly. This is why we work well together.
Apparently,
Our
mine doesn't
brains
either. Yeah.
both work. But I really think I believe so strongly in finding the right reason and the right path for investing for each investor. And I get it that there's marketing gurus out there who say, find your one message to tell people and then tell them that. And there are some people whose process and way of thinking really helps if they find one thing and they just do that one thing. That is certainly not the way my brain works. And so I have wholeheartedly embraced this philosophy that, yep, there are a million ways to be successful investing in real estate. What's most important is finding the right way for me, that you find the right way for you, and each person, each investor finds the right way for them. So we do really start like with our clients of like, why do you want to invest in real estate? And that answer can be super simple, like I want to build wealth, or I want more money,
Mhm.
or I don't know, I like the idea and I've got some extra cash and thought, okay, let me diversify, right? So it doesn't have to be super complex. For me and my husband, we really specifically started out because we're like, well, I mean, it's nice to have a little extra cash coming in every month.
Sure.
And then
Yeah.
we worked up to the point where we said specifically, we would like our real estate to have the potential of replacing our regular jobs in case we wanted to quit, have an alternate income source that we wouldn't have to stick with our jobs. And so we did the math and we are like, okay, well, if we lived a really basic life in a van down by the river, we would need this much
The river
money.
analogy. Yes. My name is Matt Foley. Yeah, no, I love it. And I think that's, and your guys' why resonates with me. I mean, that's essentially more or less my why. It's freedom of time, right? And choices. And like if I don't want to go to work today or this week or this month, that'd be cool if I didn't have to. And I
Yep.
think passive income allows you to do that. How much that is depends on your lifestyle and your financial choices and stuff like that. And
You've got you've got two kids, so you're probably
I
not going to
do. I
live
have
in a
two
van
kids.
down by the
They like
river.
they like food, they like diapers, they like all these things. So kind of want to keep them in those things as much as I can.
Alive.
Yeah. Although me and Adam do have big dreams of building a sweet camper van and one day it's going to happen.
It's going to be
Um
awesome.
Hopefully by the
We
time
can
he's 4 or
be
5.
we can be neighbors
Yeah.
by the river.
Not to be full of diapers, but you'll be good. Um but yeah, I think, and so too, and I think it's so that book, we always come back to this book, Morgan Housel's Psychology of Money, and he really does a good job of dictating people play by different games. You know, like if you need to know the rules of the game you're playing in order to be successful. So, and we have clients that totally run the spectrum. You know, we have people that are like, I need to get out. I want to be out of this job within 4 years. Let me buy everything, replace my income immediately. And we have people that are like, I'm going to retire in 8 years. I'd like a little extra money to go on an extra vacation a year. And we have people that are, you know, in their 30s saying, I'm going to be with State Department for the next 30 years. I want to retire at 55, 60, and just have, you know, all the choices in the world because I don't necessarily trust my TSP or, you know, my stock portfolio. So I mean, those are different games. You know what I mean? Like if you want to retire in 5 years, you have to do things a very specific way, not one way, but you have to be super aggressive, you know, and really take a lot of risk in order to get those potentially outsized returns. Um, so that all goes to like the how, and again, dictated by your why and kind of guided by your risk. So like if you are super risk averse, you probably don't want to get in there and try to retire in 3 years because
Mhm.
that's not feasible unless you are literally living in a van by a river eating beans. You can do that for very cheap. Um, I don't think many people want to do that, you know, necessarily. So like taking all these things into account, I think is really, it's a puzzle. You know, it's really like it's almost. I hate to say game because it kind of like, you know, dumbs it down a little bit, but it's like figuring out how to make all these things work to get what you want. I mean, that's the gist of it, right? Like
Yep.
I want to be financially free. I want to have $600 a month so I don't have to pay for gas or cell phones ever again. Like two totally opposite ends of the spectrum, but like both super attainable, you know, with various ways of investing in real estate. So helping folks navigate that and just kind of see like, oh, like that, you know, like I can do that in 7 years. I can do that in 6 months, you know, like I think that's super fun for us. And just the fact that not everyone has the same goal is super fun for us because like it changes everything. You know, it changes how you do things and it changes what markets you go in. It changes how much money you put down. It changes how long you hold. It changes what interest rates mean. You know, like it's all different. It's not one size fits all. And that's why we never get bored. We get sleepy. Like I'm very sleepy, but I'm not bored by any means. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So
There
like
you
this is
go.
live and like I'm at the very end of a very long day. Lisa's at barely woken up on the other side of the world, beginning a new day. So like this is what we do for our 7 YouTube fans, soon to be 10 at least.
This is
This is
the
what we're doing.
joy. This is the joy. But no, I love everything you said, and I will just go back really quickly for us. And I really just love how, you know, once we decide why we want to invest in real estate, it really opened up the door to make it clearer of the how. And for us, we really chose, I mean, to make it simple, the buy and hold, the
Yeah.
long-term buy and hold. We buy a property, we have it rented out, we plan to keep it for a long time. I mean, probably forever. Now, we have sold one and did a 1031 exchange. There's reasons why we might sell one or two here or there, but over the long term, that's our strategy. And you know, there's so many different strategies. It can be a little confusing of, well, which one? And we could actually do more than one. And I remember in the early days that John and I would talk through, and we had to kind of come back to, hey, and I forget who we read, maybe the Millionaire Real Estate Investor, Gary
Yeah. Gary Keller.
Keller. Thank you. Um, but it's like pick one, do it, get good at it, and then play around with other things. And that's a little hard for me because I mean, my brain is a little bit of like a squirrel,
Squirrel.
like, ooh,
Yeah.
shiny, shiny, shiny
Yeah.
nut, you know, like, ooh, let's go try this. And that was really good to kind of, we just said, okay, hey, let's do one thing. Let's do the long-term buy and hold. We started out with small multifamilies and focused on that, but then we added some single families because that made sense, but they're similar in same strategy, long-term buy and hold, and just, okay, focus on this, get good at this. We really learned the numbers, we learned our targets, we learned what was working, what wasn't, and then over time branched out and have tried some different things and are doing some different things. But that was really helpful. So that how part becomes much clearer when you have a clear why.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. And like one thing, and I don't want to, YouTube lives aren't supposed to be hours long, and you and I can talk for days, and we always do. So I want to, keep this relatively succinct. But I think also like and this is something I've struggled with. I've always thought like the ultimate why, your why, like it's your raison d'etre, and this can never change, and it's written in stone, and that's not the case. Like my why is different now than it was when I started. I mean, it's
Yep,
similar,
good point.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
But things change, and like markets change, life circumstances change. You have kids, you move across the world, like you have medical emergencies, like stuff happens, and like your why could very well go polar opposite of what it was because of situations outside of your control or just a change of heart. And I think that should be embraced, analyzed, but embraced. I don't think you should change your why weekly. If you do, you might want to get a little more focused. But like, if you've been investing for 5, 10 years, even 1, 2 years, and you're like, I'm pretty good at this now. Let me try this. Or, I thought this was my why, but now that I talk to more folks and learn more, I'd really rather this kind of be my guiding force and my why. And I think
Mhm.
the reason we focus on it doesn't matter what your why is. It just matters that you have one,
Mhm.
like and it should be a relatively good cause. It shouldn't be my why is to put other people out of business necessarily, but your why should be a good thing. But I think the reason we harp on it so much is because real estate investing it can get hard. Like it's not complicated. It's numbers, it's basic math, it's arithmetic, but it's not easy. And I think if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, and like we wouldn't need to be doing this. But like, it can be complicated, and it can be stressful, and it can be aggravating. I mean, you're dealing with people. It's a people business, and some people disappoint you, and houses disappoint you, and markets disappoint you. So like, when something happens, when a hot water heater goes, or when you have an unexpected tree fall on your house, or just whatever, a tenant decides to stop paying, like COVID
Mhm.
happens, like whatever, like you have to go back to why. Why am I doing this and not just investing in index funds? Why am I doing this and not stockpiling gold bars? You know what I mean? And we're not anti those two things. It's just that if you're going to stick with this game and with this business that is people centric, and quite unpredictable, at times, like you need to know why you're doing it, because otherwise you're going to
Yep.
stop. Like the bottom line is you're going to
Absolutely.
stop. The first time a fridge
Absolutely.
kicks and you have to come up with $1,000 out of pocket you weren't expecting, you'd be like, I'm out, and you really have to be like, this is why I'm doing it, like the long term hold game. So yeah, that is super important. How and risk are a part of it, but like that why is, I think, something you really got to stick to and keep true to.
Absolutely. And
Soapbox
I mean,
over.
since no, good soapbox. I cheer you on that soapbox. And I will also just say, really briefly, one of the things that I love about real estate as well, when we think about the risk factor, is that because there's so many different ways to approach it, people of all different risk tolerances can be successful, right? So I don't have to be a huge risk taker. I can be really conservative and be like, I want to, really guard myself in these ways, have a big emergency fund, have extra reserves. I mean, you get to dictate for yourself what
Mm-hmm.
will help you feel comfortable and allow you to sleep well at night. And I've told this story a million times, but my husband and I have been told multiple times, you're being too conservative. You're leaving money on the table. And we've looked at it and we're like, yep, we are. And here's the reasons we are. And it allows us
Right.
to sleep well at night. And
Exactly.
so, thank you very much. And so that's the great thing again about honoring yourself, the rules. And the Morgan Housel book, The Psychology of Money, I love. It really helped me when he was describing it. And I know game can make it sound a little bit
Yeah.
too, whatever, but I really resonated with it. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
we have made up these rules, and somewhere along the way people make them up and adjust them, and it's so easy to compare ourselves to others and say, oh man, they're doing that and that person's doing that, I must not be winning at my game. And he really emphasizes, know your game, know what game you are playing, and set your own rules. And then stop comparing yourself to other people because they're playing a different game with different
Yeah.
rules.
Right.
That
They're not
is so
comparable.
helpful to
It
me. And
is.
I
They're not
think
comparable.
in the risk part, that really can be different games, different rules, different people have different risk tolerances. And so it is so unhelpful to compare.
It is. Yeah, it's not only unhelpful, it's harmful, and I think,
Mhm.
and that's why you personally, I mean, I'm just telling a story you've relayed to me, is that's why you stopped going on Bigger Pockets for a while. And no shade on Bigger Pockets. Like, we love Bigger Pockets, like we've had
Yes,
some of their hosts on our podcast, and they
absolutely.
provide wonderful content, but it is a lot of that's a different game. A lot of folks on there are playing a game you and I are not playing. A lot of
Yeah.
folks on there are going for 6, 7 figure doors, and we're just like, that scares me. And it's not even scary. It's just, I don't want that. Like,
Yeah.
I want to have a handful of houses and, have them paid off eventually and have them support our lifestyle. Real
Yeah.
simple. And on the side, we'll do some flips and we'll do some fun stuff and we'll teach people how to do this and it'll be great. I have no intention of ever buying city blocks. Like, I don't want to count my doors in the hundreds. I don't want to count them in the thousands.
Not yet.
So
Not yet. We'll see,
no,
Tim.
I don't want to.
I
I
can
don't want
see
to.
you being, I can see your real estate empire.
It sounds stressful. Yeah, but like so it is like comparing yourself to them. It's not. It's apples and oranges. It's baseball and basketball. Like, it's not the same thing. So it's not only like not helpful, but it's like it's harmful for like your own self worth or like sense of accomplishment. If you're like, oh, I only have 8 doors and they have 10,000, like, and that's not the same thing. Like, it's not comparable. Um,
Congratulations, right? I
yeah, and
mean,
no,
good for
seriously,
you. I
if
mean,
that's your
that's
thing,
awesome. Yeah.
fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
that's great. But I think, for a lot of newer investors, it's like, well, why should I even get started? I'm never going to get there. And then you don't get started, and then that hurts us because we like to see people get started. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Cool.
different games,
So
different rules.
figure out why. That will really help you figure out how. Honor your risk tolerance. Be honest with yourself. Don't try to play anybody else's game.
Nope.
Take people's input with a grain of salt. And if it's helpful, take it on board. If it's not helpful, let it float on down the river and go on to somebody else. That's
Amen.
the river, coming back to
Let
the
it
river,
go.
the
Let it
van by the river.
go. Yeah. I'm singing. You can't
Yes,
stop
let
me.
it go. I
Yeah,
love it.
that's all I got. That's all I got. Let it go. I got my little guys aren't into that yet, but I know kids. They love the Frozen. So, one of
The
these days I'll know
Frozen.
all those words.
I tell you what,
Um,
it's inspiring. That's a good song to just keep
yeah.
in mind for so many things. Let it
Mm,
go.
yeah. Let it go.
All right.
So
Well,
that's what we should retitle this. Now we got to
been
give this
real.
to someone that knows how to use YouTube and have people watch it. Joe, you hearing? Joe, you in there? Joe, make people watch this. Make sure it gets out on the interweb.
And Renata, we've got Joe and Renata. We've got an
And
awesome team.
Renata,
Can I just tell
yeah,
you?
we thank God for our team. Yeah, Lisa
Super.
knows how to push record. I mean, that's a step more than I know how to do. She pushed record, and I think we're live. But like in terms of like getting it up on sites, forget it. Like, without them, we'd be done. So thank you guys. Please make this go places and connect to our